Good afternoon. Welcome to next Saturday. I think development be across, but the most crucial Capital Bank saga Sebi. I take you over the media landscape. Discussions koso. Who say the bank near no Mr. Ato Essien and court a jailing is on them for 15 good years. And since then, various social media platforms people are asking questions. Say bank no nyada say one person bit me go bank. There are other persons who are involved. So eban saying ena nipa ni tida pampa so se na koye atwesian, and what happens to the others? These are questions that Sebi, a lot of people are asking. And notable among names na manfo bisano one Mensah Otabil also for Otabil. Yina nim say Samrana na sa nema no gina kosoro ono na oye your friend say board chair for Capital Bank. Most of the decisions in na se for no nyina no enam no so. And let me also put it on record, say as we speak now, there is a suit in court and a criminal a civil Price Waterhouse Coopers among receivers of some of these defunct bank among instituted against Mensah Otabil and 15 other individuals they are seeking to recover amount of money akwakodi omo because sikano mpempimanim no kodi omo almost say sikano de ye de ombeye. So that is why people asha say bisa questions na nipa dodo na ye we nsem no dodo na or court enti we will not delve into those aspects, but I think suit na ewo ho no eba ya che we'll be going through, and I'll also walk you through the narrative kwanya sa nema we nyina asha sia esiye, and that is exactly what we are going to walk through. The many your friend is saying in some quite fast we see ya ba bedru be ba bedru and atowesian echo jail and several other individuals who were equally charged. At the end of the day, no court and let them go, but people are asking questions on various social media platforms to what extent either Mensah Otabil and other board members were involved in this whole thing. And I go through and ama obiate no say. So and then Saturday, I know a lot of people are out there attending programs and stuff, but when your opportunity na let's share sebeya obinsu benya akwanya ahwebi, because I don't want this situation where you best starting and people be trooping in. So I'm just giving just about 2 minutes per na yam fan share sebeya others can join us na share discussion because I think there's really going to be very interesting discussion. We are bringing to bear all the factors involved in this particular matter. Until we are one person as to why those people more involvement, Attorney General say on to me and establish any criminal intent with which the other guys operated, and for that matter, he cannot prosecute them. But their involvement, how they were deeply involved in whatever deal be a course or Emma Sikano Shigugwa. Atwesi and the court ko them from so and you will go in true. So let's take 2 minutes to share. Sabi will be platform be also be copy the link and put it there. Sabi will be and don't go away. 2 minutes time we will your friend is saying your best start it ama will be yeah, so I think you bit to me. Yes, I think you to me and spend much time like I said earlier, Capital Bank saga. Don't forget, Capital Bank in Kwa, there are several banks Yaguno or Kroma say. And latest on the agenda is the media radars what discussion is unfolding, and a lot of people are delving into what actually happened, circumstances, and then as a forma let us sit here and put it on record. Say obi enam no so na oye through him, and I said near more by enam so na so man hwere sika, and I said o man no lusu bibia state no ho akwanya to ensure say those people no say prosecuting be prosecute or more ye prosecute or more say we be to establish a dey be a friend saying deterrence, conventional deterrence sabi nipa de besua bibi. So it is in that spirit entina sabi obi ye bibi against a minor in one accord no ye nyina yaka say okay, if it is right say nipa no really odifa yen prosecute no sabi nipa de besua nyansa, because yatena krom ha sabi some individuals are taking a man way for granted, and many of these guys on this radar have been politicians that they feel emboldened on himself and and a lot of people, and I mean, say most of the political class are equally guilty, just as Mr. Ato Essien court kwaji tombs or you're guilty, no. But the willingness on the part of government to ensure say we deal with these individuals, no, so those on the sidelines, those are sabi omunni any political polarization, sometimes we seek to sacrifice them just to send a message to people out there, say indeed government is really committed, say yeah bibi. But more sabi some they have some colorization, being partisan political or more certain influencer at high places, we tend to let them go. Ghana in your banking sector crisis, and I'm sure that many of you are aware. In 2015-2016, banking sector, and I think it's a quality peer review, quality assessment where you're more and better. They say most of the banks, have liquidity challenges, and most of the banks were not solvent. As I hear more liabilities are not override or more asset into a cabubro and another banks, not a womb then. So the government then, and Mahama buying then, decided through Bank of Ghana, say, okay, if that is the case, young recapitalizes some of the banks. Recapitalization means that government infuses sika into the bank. Sabaya banks, individual, no betimi they are supporting more corporate activities, management on daily basis. Sabaya bank and be solvent. As a bank, a solvent and asset. So change the liabilities then say abaye liquid flow at the be a year juma straight. That was the intentional. So Capital Bank as an individual bank then enya over 610 million Ghana cedis. The intention of this particular money Yadema bank and then say emphasize sikano ensha bank activities na say bank ni begina the nice one, because na any charities the Bank of Ghana was just throwing out those monies to these banks and other banks also equally receive same, but the focus is on Capital Bank because so this amount of money Capital Bank enya 610 million Ghana cedis as a banking sector liquidity supporter. Bank of Ghana more. But the challenge here is that sikane beto or more account say kukrodo. The intended purpose na and komudi sikane yeno yamfasa sikana nye. And Pastor Mensah Otabil was the chairman, was the board chairman then. On the affairs of the entire bank, most of the decisions. Mahuso wababo ntiamba kase na a non-executive if anything director. But be what it may be, he was the board director, and most of the decisions taken at that level go through him. So according to suit na awabonten and the namno abrasika no bae no, then Ato Essien be a request for sikanubi. He requested for 130 million Ghana cedis. That money was to be paid to your friend saying all-time capital limited. According to report, and osan washes a womb. So sa sikano betum no requested for 130 million out of the money. But other board members now no more adenosono raise concern say, oh no, this money and witness yet. A basa yam fan support to bank activities, so we cannot allow this. Then, according to the report, Pastor Mensah Otabil, who was the chairman or board chair, no, guaranteed, said no. Yamfa man 130 million, no, and the why he said so, no, I'll come back. I bet Chilibam what I said, the entire originum. Say, Bonfa Sikana mano, now personally, I guarantee, say he will pay. According to the your friend saying report out that is what was stated. So he personally guarantees that that 130 million should be paid to the man. Now, he's assuring the bank say by the end of March 31st, 2016, na sikano buy between March to November 2015. That is when the money was released to the banks. So yamfa sikano mo na bosia without any guarantees. He knew, he was privy to say sikana papa no geno guarantee be any baby as say sikana mo ntumi ntua momfa we or the nano keke and the board bosia, and the then board chairman other way according to report and other board members raised concerns, but Mensah Otabil single-handedly guarantees no momfa mano, and I assure you I'll make sure say by your friend is saying 31st of May na what sikana mayen. That money was eventually went away, and later no per the investigation there course by sikana ye de koma all time capital ventures no sikano mumsana ye de establish another bank, which is the sovereign bank. And I think say when that particular scenario came out obia tb say sikana eba ye na yemfansha bank nim no ye tam sika puduo no and ye de ko be another bank per the investigation. Again, the same person shareholders ya SN approve another money, which is sasikana yesi yamfan bank ne bank no activity engine no, they approve the same amount of 27.5 million Ghana cedis for promotions and a protocol payment, and which means the purpose with which those money was intended for no was never used for. And a Bank of Ghana, so I'm saying supervisory and I say your friend is saying oversight responsibility to ensure say sikana mediama bank, you know, how well are they using those monies, you know, because your Ghana sika and for those supervisory way, you know, never came in. Say obi co-supervise it, because you can't just give us 600 million Ghana cedi, 610 million Ghana cedi in banking, your friend say in liquidity support to a bank and go to sleep and she say or the buyer, because as a bank my culture say obi establish a private banker the very moment obi open the doors Emma Ghana for the musika kwa gugu, that bank is no longer a private bank. The public have a stake in it, and it is the duty of government to ensure that the financial security of individuals, depositors, normal customers, and will be safe guarded. So Bank of Ghana, it is in that particular spirit, and a Bank of Ghana this is these banks to recapitalize the sabi solvent na sabi amamfo nusu mojuma amamfo sika samanko. But when they gave them the money, they went to sleep because Ghana sika and these people decided say they would use the money. So apart from a year 27.5 million Ghana cedis na say the year promotion and as for no and what you know, you sign for transfer another money a year 23.9 million to firm BSF and IFS. Almost share omunya no the Nordia capital, and so enya 65 million, and this particular money na say Nordia capital nya no abaye bone of contention, because according to omono omo sankan sika bia and besine omugusu a akwaya apede, and some of the your friend is saying and some akoso within this period has been a bone of contention between firm we are making anyway, because almost say omonsankan sika bia and almost so omonsankan sika. Again, 29 million Ghana cedis was also granted to companies Mr. Ato Essien only. So you come to the realization say sikana ye kan ho asem say ye diaba say ye mfan recapitalize banks no, those monies were never used for the intended purposes, because oversight responsibility and a Bank of Ghana air standard to ensure say obi na ni ahwese say bisika na ye de ye no awonim saa de we ya bi and enam so a Cecilia Dapa ensa ko kan $43 million asika World Bank de buy no because almost say yama sika faculty odom as to whether the money was used for the intended purpose or not. No, Parliament never followed up. Nobody followed up to know say indeed adwuma na de ye ya na say yanye ko oko odo river na obi catch us yatima kwanhwe ya wodi abufu be boni bakora ni so. But this is where I see the $43 million akwakote sa odonum ene sika na kwako wie se wachechire na dukum egu ni dem ena onam court no di nsem hunu di nkrase sem se bi ono di obi mu court se ye kana sem radio so as we speak or the multimedia ejina court na no me hu pictures bi e ba ya watene nsa ewo we so one of the lawyers are very voice furious on various platforms or can adwen bebrebe sana ekokoyeye. So when this money was given to them no no and asabi omo edeye de omo ye, it got to a point that even commercial papers are buy in the name of the bank no CEO of the bank no the signature na was here no or see the signature na onim nipa kra okoko sign sa signature na ma no and asema o kan ya ma me se mehunu ha rudi a kirewa I think say enunie or say please my attention has been drawn to document purported to have been signed by in respect of commercial papers for 100 million Ghana cedis issued to MC Management Services through all-time capital. Please, I haven't signed for any such commercial paper issued and do not know the said company, so will be grateful if you could help resolve this issue. That is the emailer. Your friend is saying, Phil Gerard Odonko, the CEO for the bank, a Troy say, yeah, the signature na se for I near my sinsan sika kwa mobi. Minim hope near my way cost we na Otabil and a board chairman for this whole bank. Because already know he has guaranteed. Say, oh, let it go. And maybe the entire Otana say na he allow this particular monies to go through no. Me say me baba chiro. And so at the end of the day, no, these shareholders in Nasafon ended up massacring over 482 million Ghana cedis. Obiya who be sikana ko. Don't forget sikana buy no 610 as we speak. Emu 482 million aira. And these people were bold enough to write back to Bank of Ghana catch say, Papa, musika na modema no aye bibia ho nti yesramo monye ne say demoka monye ne loan mayen yebetua. That is the letter they wrote to Bank of Ghana and told them say sikana modeba no sikana yestai nti yesramo monye ne loan na ya yebetua, of which Bank of Ghana agreed and failed to investigate why that thing happened. Because they ought to have investigated at that point to know, say, a banasang and a sika ya dia mamo as a liquidity support among fanya juma we no sa sika no ashe. But yes, ye ni loan amom till date sa sika ni ntimi ntua. And again, sika na ye chema ye ho no anya ato esi nkwa na fa bi. Eye Mensah Otabil oye ye fa ne sen board chairman then for the bank no. Ono nso ekoji sika no ye or the Otabil and Associate, whether it's a company or what. Otabil and Associate was granted 51.629 million Ghana cedis. So okay, why Misikano was 51 million Ghana cedis. Otabil and Associate Sasikana Abana yesi yamfanye we no. So Okachiro said these are software who are supposed to have integrity. He was chairman for a bank. He knew the purposes for which those monies were released, but they diverted the money to a different way to the stand say owner no ato for ato AC no jisika no bi no o say oh no guarantees cry ya mfama no na onim the oye. Then he came back and requested for 51 million Ghana cedis with no guarantees. With no guarantees. And so what just abosian we asem make enya metim na me bo aka asem no court and so wo hwe rate no so na wo kan ye fa ne say nsem ewo ma wo hu sa nema we nyina wo e court a append a asem no gu so ayeko but eno no enye criminal. My catcher say a civil case instituted by your friends a PricewaterhouseCoopers or monomoye receivers for that particular defunct bank. And to a monomatana here who said no, Sikano quite fast what ye use no sancro for way after Yansa quines with Disicano a Otabil and 15 others. And your modo mujina courtwa or more prajo musica. So a mu and a make us free. So in some making be a new free team. So apart from say Otabil and associate on one casa the company acquired 51 million almost wayo misika na bino or Sunday na sorry ICGC a sign for Bob Bosinya edgy GC canobi the same 51 million with no guarantees up nothing besinde omunyen tua kobo maybe ebia we cost no my imagine because en komo tua nka PricewaterhouseCoopers and drag omo to court say omo nko tua sika se sika your friend say PricewaterhouseCoopers edge afri omo ho no amounted to over 700 million because other compensations in na se for kan ho asem no gina court se sia won ti se be media no bia kan ho asem. This person stands on radio, on TV every day speaking as if say we are seeing Nyansa nyina woni team. This is what they are doing. Oh, sumase. Ne what is can we no? Emma ne Otabil and associate no 51 million no. And I sign kwa G be man sorry ICGC echo ball GC kanu bi sika na yesi amfanya we no almost 51 into we can 51 million boma bonya sen 102 million which is double of sika wayomi ejeye ehihye omo ho eno modern nam kroma. That is why people are asking say ato Asian na court akwaji atom say odifo a adentina Otabil ene others no yante kra say be criminal case be instituted against omo. Yes, attorney general say on criminal intent for what they did, you know, it's not where ya obetime institute any criminal case against them until they were left off the hook and a civil case, you know, air coso. But in the case of our twins, and this is what happened. Asem no call court no proceedings no cost no tanasi who said no. Asem ne ebia ye diwia ebe kwatia no. And there is this your friend say Court Act, which is Act 475. Act 475. Emma ho kwan so ultimately enter into a your friend say plea bargain. Plea bargain and they say asem no ompese be court to the logical conclusion to who plead guilty sebe ya court no betimi am mitigated sentence and I say sentence na say obi omo be mo bia so bete. And in his case he was supposed to pay 90 million Ghana cedis for sika or kokodi ne ho enti so obi etua ne de. So we expecting say nka yaje atowasi ndie de akwakodi other people ho no so nka yaje. So he agreed, say okay, obetuya, because when you take a plea bargain now, catch your friend say judge no, and as a court no tiasia, then custodial sentence as a mother man will be suspended, and they agreed, say okay, 90 million obetuya. So as of December 21st, 2022, now otuya 30 million Ghana cedis. Now koka saying 60 million Ghana cedis. So 60 no, the agreement our money the attorney general enya say obetua ne 2020 and by April we are this year no, he was supposed to pay another 20 million in August last month, and then pay the last 20 million December by 31st nanka we. But period na ya the man no want me to yesika no, because April dia na 20 million no April dear no asat ene the whole of this year no the what me atua 7 million. Esenka by now nka watua 40. So earlier no default year no Attorney General sent a court asking the court to impose custodial sentence on him because na on to mintia. Judge na oti akumia no so ka said no. What there more money some time. So the judge granted him extra 6 months to pay the money. But ninyi na nkoko wie no 7 million and otimi etua asat October say 2nd of this particular year. Yeah, is the reason why I call back to court. Court no had no other option than to impose custodial sentence on him because what pleaded guilty, and when you plead guilty, you put yourself at the mercy and the discretion of the judge. Whichever you find a punishment be a or demo fit be on and per your sentencing way no from years and I think said the highest 25 years. So 25 years now or within 15 you can begrudge the judge. Is the reason why in the case or jitum sawaya bone and obetuesikano. And in the course of the payment out of 90 million Ghana cedis the ultimate 30 million ultimate in 2022 and then 7 million this year. The remaining 53 million I don't know ultimate and the court now coming back to impose the custodial sentence on him. And the question is ato Asian atimiatu ana kana ababeduru 53 million. Now you ask yourself, say, Bosiana ICGC kwaboye because no guarantees. One about kwakobo Bosiana sabi onfa guarantees yanko. But Mensah Otabil and Associate GC can be 51 according to PricewaterhouseCoopers. Asam no court or moji musika. Edena soren so koko jib aroda 51 because asikana bude ayafo yamfa maya ho. So this is a state money. These people pay to themselves without guarantees. With no guarantees. So look at the intention of people who sit on radio and TV and every day preaching high moral standard. Criticized in the past. I remember when Mahama was president, these people were all over on social media, bastardizing, criticizing, raising hell as if said and these are the realities. Sana beneath that, they were committing economic atrocities against the people of this particular country. Those monies remain unpaid. And if you have friends in high places, definitely you'll be let go. So it's a Ghana for them social media no move besides why Mensah Otabil is not facing criminal prosecution. They have every right to ask those questions. It's up to the Attorney General to come out and explain because some of the explanations of Mode Bano. And let me also say, and yet your friend is saying Otabil Kwana ye your friend is a board member of Asikanubi. Ebasano, and I'm just say a criminal activities and I know more ye because atuwesian efa ne sika no wie ya omo hu se sebi ya approve amana Otabil guarantee amano no then chale ya so yentua bi ma ye ho then other board members no sha ase atua sika no ma omo ho and I'm coming to mention names of individuals omo tua sika no ma omo ho almost papa bi ye friend ne oheneba osei akoto oji sika no 36 million. But trying to short 36.6 million and na ojema ho with no guarantees or my sikao fine. Then your friend Obi Stephen Enchel or 73 million no guarantees. All right. Kingsley Atagansa or 36.6 million no guarantees. Sikana yedi abase board ne the board chairman and the board no ensure say yamfanya bank no or software with high moral standard and the adewe anymore board chairman. He was privy to happenings how those monies were being handled or can say onye in charge of daily running. Yes, obi himself we board chairman when you are not involved in daily running, but top executive decision at this level I involve how these monies were dispensed. You know, he was aware, he was involved, he guaranteed and took some of the money for his church and for his company. And Nimian walk or more can as no one say young fankwa or my sicker when the idea and say boom giddy. And your friend is a Kingsley Ata Gansa, FR 36 million, and Otabil Otabil and Associate FR 51.629 million, and a sorry ICGC, and so far the same amount, which is 51.629.319 million. Sasika we a switching Otabil they are sabi the year campaign papa we do my friend is saying maybe refiniding why you sika ebe ye way but in some way say the city this particular assembly I'm making has been pending since 2018 but media and nobody is interested because a special person a Otabil and this Ato forcing Ato Asian guy has been on the radar. The AG is not interested in probing into Otabil's involvement because as a board chairman, making sure that these monies are disbursed, using verbal guarantees to ensure that you pay that amount of money to Ato ACN. You can't say, hey, you are not guilty. He is equally complicit. Because to guarantee to the extent say other board members express disapproval and you say oh come on famano by way no what ya by way no what ya as we speak what is the kind of man no they had their own intentions and ne or no e bobo sin free sikanum enti na bank na gu na manfo e ko haywire the same person and I'm half and who as if nothing has happened. Because with this, your friend is saying civil case instituted against them to recover the money. No, I agree, yes. And that particular suit, the same actuation and to ensure say PricewaterhouseCoopers recoup omoankasa omusika. They recoup their money. But these people's involvement, we cannot be swept under the carpet. They need to come out and defend how Sika intend because it's about the intention. Because Sika yadiaba, you knew the purpose for which those money were released. This is a struggling bank. So the government then decided to say, okay, let us help them, give them some money, and making sure that they will be able to set up and do things well. But they diverted the money with the tacit approval of the then board chairman to ensure say shareholders and they couldn't pay the money. Is the reason why a bank not struggle to the extent say 2017 government had no other option than to collapse the bank, which some of us said no, you can't collapse the bank because collapse the bank now a man force investment and individuals now and I'm also a bank in a lususicano. Take those individuals, isolate them, prosecute them, and ensure that you recapitalize the bank and ensure that the banks become solvent, they run unimpeded. But these individuals, take them and deal with them. But the Shanko for Binumanima, you prosecute more in ye. So money more higher prosecute or more there, you better prosecute you. And some I acquire by I'm sure that most of you are even shocked, say ICGC, Kojisi Kanobi, and now your friend is saying Otabil and Associate and one casa the company, it's your man, These are people who claim to be living higher moral standards. So and just only more on him. That is the Bonea, the Biame Catchero. But near some of these guys, Editia or mine. And because our people are so ignorant, some are emotional and refusing to reason with their brains but with their muscles until they fall for some of these things. But it is about the issues. Do the right thing. Because you can't preach A and be doing B. You remember when this whole cathedral thing popped up And Ghana for insisted, said, no, we can't do this at this time because the economic conditions prevailing in the country and you're right for these things because youth unemployment, people are always on the street, national service, just a whole lot. Housing deficit challenges are you facing. We cannot build cathedral. But we saw the wisdom in it. Said, oh, we don't build cathedral at this time. This same men of God, as a sakasok bomb, conjigina chroma say, yeah, fundraising and as for fundraising or US or buy not or deca. Because the amount of money they spend at the raises cano US, na ne boy didn't change sika omunya so omu free US eba chroma say eka and omo de buy see raise sika e the cathedral. They never got a damn. And these people sat down when Kendoforiata put in a hand in your friend saying Ghana Consolidated Fund him fasika at the year the all year they were privy, they were board members going up and down and as a forum. I did never told ya Motuchi no afi omunyine dwane free board no so. Let me free some work through, not knowing that they are all just cowards running away from the board. Who dwane akohen fa? Mu dwane akohen. The apology you're supposed to render to Ghanaians till date, none of them has been bold enough to render unqualified apology to us. Because Duncan Williams Bakachira said, Ghana for more Casado do moon nim their moki. A buying sika ni cathedral, I bet there this a buying sika near the year BBR. Has he been able to apologize to Ghanaians? So this is the kind of mentality people who have clothed themselves with this God. People with egos. They walk, they have assumed a certain Messiah status, be thinking that they are very special, they have a special connection with God, and for that matter, no, because they know people are weak intellectually. So with these things, they glide and get away with it. Because how do you explain, say, men of God, their involvement in some of these shady scandals, and they still have the audacity to sit on various TV platforms and stuff, preaching to people for what? When you lack morals? Because these are the justification. Let us take away the legal aspect of it from just look at it from a layman's perspective. Banks no air suffer, banks no air go down, and we have decided say, okay, government coming to the aid of these banks by recapitalizing the bank with 610 million Ghana cedis, and the Abra bank is okay. Bank no conform because unim say yanhwe na say bank no gua Ghana for be luso modwuma banking sector no enye papa mayen enti munji sa sika we sika na baaye no board chairman te ho na atowesian mama me 130 million board members say yanti Otabil so my guarantee mo fama no by 31st of March 2016 obetua yeah the amano na wasiamba biem promotions and way 27.5 million yeah the amano yan transfer another to Nordia Capital 65 million yeah the cop yan transfer 25 to IFS near the cop. Then the board members decided, said, I don't know yet though. Now what did you win in a dream so? And I told you that is exactly what happened in the Bank of Ghana situation. Bank of Ghana situation. When people or printing a branch and papa not to her printing sikama kufuadwa drew a point and casa and I had my Jimmy, men printing be mammy home. That was when he started printing money for themselves. At the end of the day, no, Sika, Bank of Ghana, or no one Casadan in crew for share, no, and then I'm over about 22 million. Sana Kokoya in this case, you approve ma owner now we are at so. NTS yam fabi so board member shareholder nipa no mo we ne so sebi obia fasika no bi man of God etiso. And this guy was out there criticizing, insulting, calling for nyansa for ne nase for them behind their closet. Their skeletons are negumini. Skeletons are negumini. Obabonti say, oh, your friend is saying he was not involved in daily. You don't need to be involved in day to day because Sawati, your friend saying, yes, we are here. You are not supposed to. You're not supposed to. But Atuesian making effort to pay. Yes, we defaulted. Enti onkonko them, which I have no issue with it because on one could take a plea bargain went me into ya and custodial sentence definitely will be imposed. But the question is, what about the other guys who connived? They knew what the money was intended for. Now, you say, I'm not tenancy cry for just mere negligence kekeo, for mere criminal negligence kekeo. When those monies were being approved, now I'm aware, and on one kasa san out a G loan no more with no guarantees. Criminal intent by the chain way. Criminal intent bang and the chile idea we say obi betimi akwa G loan a whooping 51 million for the company. Asia de na sorry ICGC asia akwa jebosia 51 million. That just say no guarantees because yana yebo conflict of interest at that point, which is against our laws. You can't do that. You can't do that. But airby Otabil dia kwada di obiam also because of a special person. And I flag it at Wasian up and down. And you sure no crowd there has been able to pay some of the money. ICGC the car on TI according to PricewaterhouseCoopers and some law court you can follow. Otabil na associate akwaji sikanobi and several other members are no more board no so who are not supposed to benefit from that particular money no. Your friend is saying John Kofi Mensah, your friend is saying Adrian Obendonko, Isaac Osa Thompson Mensah, almost 24 million, wage 14, and the other guy 15 million, and I walk Kwajo, IC, Ihoren 4 million, and as a form. So, what me who say, Sikana yade ba say yam fanya we no, bako kure no yade. That is why the bank collapsed. That is the reason why a nipa na or chair sa criminal activities na course within the bank, you know, because say at we see in core bank or court no kwajitum say oh chale me am who say sabi my default some na course no chale whether you can say we dey ntwa scan me to ya or take a plea bargain. It means we admit guilt. That is what it means. So admitting guilt, you know, in such way and some of the charges now what the board na I think 16 charges are over conspiracy. One person conspire why and no more conspire why and conspire with him to ensure that those monies will be paid. The board chairman is equally guilty as everybody else. How do you go in with your church? Because you cannot float abo Bank of Ghana debetum when you know the bank is struggling. But won't mean can't let me say winning banks in books. Then I say for one tier economics I say and okwaje board chairman here then. One tier economics I say okwaje board chairman here then. You can't say that. And you are not supposed to take loans. But adufudia na the money black man team raw at the money. When we assume privileged position, we use that to take advantage of others. Oh yeah, na went yanchamaya ho. Na mu fi say a mother. So this come back to government say, sir, justice na you say you dispense justice just to ensure say amanfo benya hope in a criminal jurisprudence. Sabi the attempt to prosecute you must be fair. Won't mean you pick and choose. Because uncle for ye come and say uncle you guilty and I say sika some young performance anwa and your friend say PricewaterhouseCoopers will not take them to court. So or Jenny sika from omuntuamtia compensations because sikana kwa kudi omo they need to pay depositors or musika wo but sikano ya da bro omo bosia that alone won't mean establish criminality. Go how do you explain say sika ya amount as a board chairman na team say mo fan make sure say bank go enti empese ebegu enti munji sa sika we but adabia make Bank of Ghana oversight responsibility to ensure say ye disikana manipa no. And you see, even people within Bank of Ghana who gave out those monies and decided say you follow up, no, those individuals no could be charged for criminal negligence. Because you have a duty to ensure say those monies will be used for the intended purpose. By a two sikana more and omokotigina and so where other banks rumunya says sikaninya sa na kokoye ni nyina hye. Nanka your mama no papa sika senka you follow up sa sika ni nyina hye because obi ani akire Ghana sika de ama omo do mba ye omo fanye and they wasted this money. So eba ne sai na ene atwesi enkwana ne tuatwi other people no there are several other people on the board who took monies which they were not supposed to take. Conflict of interest. Conflict of interest. Conflict of interest. Sisika boso e de aboboy ye hombosia e na bank no gu. Knowing say bank no gina deposit sika so ne na se for na gina bank no e rane. Nti ewie na bad loans nkwa nkasa ashe bank no ase bank no because sika wo hefa. And other people who took loans from the banker on budget those credit with the quiet human and as a form no government at some point also decided say contractors on to your moka. So the main I'm only trying to respond to the many questions Ghanaians are asking on social media. Say adentina atwesi en kwa na court and I Kevin Taylor Bessie and I met church and semnum the involvement of other people. Say enyo no kwa and those of us who just joined us. And semnum nyina say around 2015 na banks no enya challenges in as for Bank of Ghana then decided say obe recapitalize obe boa to infuse certain obe some capital injection. Sabe ya banks no sabi omon sabe kansika na omotime gina omon nanso sabe omba be solvent. Omo asset no will override their liabilities. Sabi ya sika semne na se for be flow bank de beti ya bank ne gina nan so. By then na Mensah Otabil and this capital bank ya friend is saying board chairman. Sika na ba no the intended purpose the esa mudi sika na ye no omo mfanye they diverted the monies into different things. So sika na beto ma na atwesi en ka se chale me here 130 million no. No guarantees na no and the call and board say no na how can we give you that money without any guarantee as for by even money in the crowd mother ban that is not the intended purpose as yet. The chairman guarantees oh them farmer now make sure say by 31st of March no 2016 till date. And again, the same board approved another 27.5 million for promotions. You say, promotion and as a form, protocol, whatever payment. And then other transfer over 65 million Ghana cedis to Nordia Capital. And then just say, Sikanwansi you companies in Kwan according to investigation. Your friends are Attorney General. Yes, Sikano 130 million or more. No, and on I could be another bank. Bank I go I am Sikase Sebi. For Gina 1 so no Sasika na yetam ye and ye could be sovereign bank another bank and a year. And Sasika when you na board chairman GGG and your friend say atwesi and GGG they will run a company mono. Then na drew board more prove man na drew almost say almost take bi. Then the board chairman then Otabil or the company Otabil and associate kobo FG Sikano be 51 million, which is the same as Wyoming Sikano. And okokoji no guarantees, absolutely nothing. And also na sorry ICGC sankokoji bosia 51 million na the same amount na Otabil na associate G no guarantees. And then you know mwaka about 15 other people. I told the therefore wait 36 million no yakwaje 4 million no yakwaje 14 million no yakwaje Gigi sikana sa ama sikana shi ne. Apart from criminal case na akoso to and call court co plead your friends take plea bargain say what admit guilt enti they should work out the way obi to sika na je tum so obi to 90 million ne nyina as at 31st of December last year na sika watimi etu ya 30 million. Asem no court no split no into 60 million na kano into 3 equal installment, 20 million by April, 20 million by August, 20 million by December. Unfortunately, from January to October 2nd, yeah, omoko court be no. Now want to mean to sika and what mean to 7 million per. That is why a court went back to your friend say impose custodial sentence on him. Because at some point after April they no default year no call court no. Judge no can say okay, we the money 6 months. Now you share do betimi after 6 months no still he couldn't pay the money. So a san call court to be no, the court had no other option than to impose the custodial sentence. And he had up to a choice up to 25 years. So he decided to give him 50 maybe because he has paid the money. And if we are going forward, Nensaka 53 million now the bar, maybe he will be freed. That would depend on the court. So the question is on the side near dealer we are these other people no mucho sika mo no, and I'm say age no and take you on no receivers no your friend saying Price Waterhouse Coopers no moye recipient no ahwema hu say Otabil na other board members and other shareholders no kwan mo fa so mo di sika no dwirim no they cannot let it go enti enne ya tam sa nkrofo 15 ni do mo court mo gina court ye di asem no say sika na kwakodi mo ho no mo mfa sika no mra. So my question and me bisa I confirm the questions other people are asking on social media and say e ba na sen and as uncle so her report now her near mom we tacit approval when they were privy to the intended purpose for which the money was to be used for now more time some more diverting money into other areas now. How do you say these people are not complicit? That is the question people are asking. And empty Attorney General say those people they ain't been prosecuted or more. Now to some I think that there are 3 others to be prosecuted or more. But these people who took some of the money and I say for be seen the win to yeah they are sorry in there bubble saying with that guarantees, you know. Be seen there. Nobody's questioning anybody. That is the question we are asking. And this Attorney General bet me actually the Ghana for one. Why they decided said those people who were given tacit approval, they knew they were privy to the intent. Sikano yade bayana na sefonya, but they sat aloof, guaranteed. Omun himself sikano yade kodi bone, but he agreed because now all China drew no so no swajibi. Na ene ekurase bank ekura betime kwa kura ha so kwa kwajebo siambra umfa guarantee nko. Ekurase bank. You can't do that. Ekurase bank. But deliberately, no. Ye sika without guarantees. Interest kura me nya say bi wo so. Cause sika na bamfo. Na wudi dwirim di boni way against the state. Na subsequently bank no gu a enye wutisu na ebu agu. And the same person will go and stand in the church preaching amam for musika mra sorry na say for anya omo because Ghanaians are gullible, Ghanaians are naive, Ghanaians are emotional people and oya obenya omo. Behind the scenes, this is what these people are doing. Buying companies abroad and say for them, living good, living rich at the expense of these people. And I'm just praying, say, a time will come, the average and the ordinary Ghanaian will become wise. And when that day comes, a lot of these shady enterprises, fledging in the name of God, most of them will slide to the place of deserve. Because they are thriving, because the people are ignorant, because the people are emotional, because most of the people are unreasonable. That time will come soon. That time will come soon. On minor, Ababe drew a pointer. People must face consequences for their actions and inactions. Because that is the deterrence. Conventional deterrence is the only way I bet me deter man. Because my culture say every person, me ametie me kahon, wa wo hwe me kahon, every human is very dangerous. Very, 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 very dangerous. Very, very, very dangerous. So we jaya in our natural state. Oda one kasa bisa ho. Whenever you are alone, whenever you are alone, no be anywhere. Look at the things you do. That is who we are. when we are alone. That is who we really are. So humans are very dangerous individuals. So always, when you put up the consequences of their actions right in front of you, project the consequences of their actions and inactions. And then the bad guy then say, me ya dey way anymore. Say. So when man learn of consequences, they will set up and do the right thing. But if we create an environment where individuals commit crime, atrocities, financial crimes, and they just get away, nothing happens to anybody, at the end of the day, we create a culture of impunity, and that impunity will override and it will sink us. That is the point we've got into. The same Attorney General Babon Tabakacha say, a friend is saying, Professor from Pomwatin, in the case Sebi, what show extensive reporter evidence in as if we attach it to the as if for Numina. Catch and say, those reports, are without merit and he cannot proceed with investigation. That is quite interesting. Very interesting. This is a lazy guy who is working right to safeguard the interest of power. Because from what a report cannot be a conclusive statement that will also the prosecutor will be, but it give you a certain platform. I'll bet me a beginning investigation. From Watson's report cannot be used for prosecution. That is a fact. So you can't say a lack of merit and to win to mean you so, but that become a basis upon which investigation has to be constituted to establish the merit or the otherwise. In some of the cases now always happen. To say we investigation now coming to the conclusion say okay, upon our investigations the prosecution, that is clear, but you cannot base on a written document and say you're prosecuting people on document, because whenever obi actual reporter, however extensive the report is, ain't mean capture the nitty-gritties, I'll bet to answer their prosecution. But this is what this guy is telling us. And the obi and the dean woman, because I didn't cry by and they started attacking him. This is a report that the president sat on for years. And then you come back to ask yourself, say ne abanye timenya kukodro aputu ato ACN behind Basa. Then what about the several other people within his government who have been flagged in several scandals, financial malfeasances, misappropriation, and as a phenomenon? What is he doing? Or prosecution is for people who are outside government. Because there are several people within this government or committed enormous economic atrocities against this particular country. The scandals have been out there, a lot of them, but we have not seen any effort on the part of either the special prosecutor or the attorney general to pick up those matters and investigate. Nothing has been done. Nothing. So at the end of the day, the question is, where lies the commitment of power in ensuring, say, we really establish this conventional deterrence? Say, be put to a man for off. Say, hey, when it becomes other people that you prosecute opposition people, then as a former, it's easy in a political dispensation. The easiest thing to do is to prosecute your political opponent. That is the easiest thing to do. But to put up your altruistic motives out there for people to know, so indeed you are really committed. No, people within government, yes, how committed are you? Exactly. People who are not in government, Otabil TV. That is true. So, you prosecute others in tandem with people who have been flagged, cited. Because if this dossier, this report, Professor Frimpong, what he general so ascripted evidence upon evidence, and you see, even before Ansana and the report no bano, Ansana and the report no ebano, ye friend is saying instances are tape, then as a for Babontin, a we see announce an investigation, then as a for no all these report, as our person will begin any proper investigation. But this is Attorney General who will not constitute a single investigation. He goes into the media and tell people, say, we cannot prosecute, and the media don't ask questions. And I know say some of the media houses actually say, oh, Attorney General say come and evidence in Womni is scanty, they don't have basis to prosecute people. Then you ask yourself, say, what level of investigation has been constituted? Investigation by because we are not expecting the document written by Professor Frimpong Boateng to be used as a sole document for prosecution. He only gave us insight into activities that are happening in the past. So it is your job to ensure that you pick up those things, those matters, investigate, and upon your investigation, findings in the Wujinaso to prosecute people. But he will not do it. So when tons of people whose names were mentioned then as for in the report to Ninjana and Obi Akofano Mwedi. So when the Befa was serious, we are committed when it comes to the fight against corruption. And where the way a man as that park case is going, obviously it's going to die out. PDS Betana Kruma Gigi Esika. Besine, Sasikane Yafadi. Names were mentioned, people were involved, nobody questioned anybody. Sasikana shit. In Omanya Sabi, Emraya Juma, I you expect, say, Sabi, the state will show some commitment. Bank of Ghana is the same thing. That is why I call Sikaya, yes, in a year yabokai. So we now share or categorize now what itemize what those monies were used for within the bank now. Sabi, we swam or mine Ghana. There be America or mining you will be dear, and you'll be mamma dear, and you'll be papa dear. So whatever about Ghana, you'll be unfair. But on mine, I see a chichino. Nebo man, I shall see no. Nebo man, I shall see no. Because the very people among for trusting repose confidence and trust in them. Say, these are people you can trust behind the curtains, behind the scenes. These are the kind of atrocities and criminal activities these people are committing against the state. And when people are in a comfortable seat and they are enjoying, they keep quiet. That is why I know. Wow, I was telling people, say, when I listen to people like Professor Frimpong Boateng now coming out to tell us, Akufo-Addo, your family and friends, and then I say for them, I say, these people should give us a break and they should shut up. Because Akufo-Addo says, your family and friends, since he came, and some of us has been on the media always criticizing and telling the government to reverse from that particular dangerous partner on Namsono. These people were part of the administration within when they were in and they were enjoying. Nobody raised a voice against these things are now causing within government because they were enjoying. So do you need to exit before and you don't have to if you have integrity, if you want people to take you serious, because and you'll be an adrimu hasao so Pia Bontembe Kasaya then no. The question is, when those things were happening, you were privy to, because it's not as if it's not an event. Family and friends kaba hijack government. Even Abrano Yen Jumana, the president of CNN as a former hijack on a banner, we know he was aware. That is why the former your friend is saying special prosecutor he opted out, he got out of the kitchen. Because if you're a man and you have integrity, that is what you do. You don't sit in and enjoy all the booties. Then you booty out to ya. If you do that, there are gullible minds out there who embrace you and say, why are there? But some of us will not see you as a hero because you had a duty when those things were going on. When evil was being nurtured, you were one of those guys who were nursing it. You kept quiet, you kept mute. Because my catcher was you say some silent are golden. At this point, silence is never golden. Silence can be dangerous. So whenever you flag evil, wherever you see evil, you speak against it. And even if people within your own party will gang against you, decent minds will gravitate towards you. That is a point. That is what we need to understand, that politics now, based on our convictions. And then I say for them, that is why we do politics. Within the media is almost the same thing. It's the same thing. Depending on where Nippon persuasion, a lie, and allegiance are tilted towards, where they fall. Defending the indefensible. Abrante yoti as empire for myself and or mine, he knows, and I know you see a car attacking in me and your friend is saying, UTV. Will be sending me video or to doing some emotional way. These are guys they call journalists. People who cannot bring intelligence to bear, rather rely on emotions and mourn over issues. Niema way koso. Yenyina in one accord, human descent, human yefense nipa nyame boyen, we know our left from our right. Ko answer na we hear your politics na your convictions. And they define who we are. So you walk into the arena of politics with who you are. You define things and mark it with your personal principles and values. And wherever there is a conflict between what you believe in and what you stand for against those things, that is when you'll be able to speak up against those things. And I told you how leaders emerge in extraordinary circumstances. In a situation where everybody feels that and when people rise against those excesses now, that is when you see decent mind will gravitate towards people. That is why it has been the basis. A lot of leaders I imagine. The last time I was telling you about how Rollins became a leader of the coup when he didn't even actually take part in the coup because of his convictions and a single act that he did. About 15th May when he or denounce the involvement of all other guys. They were not part of it. So it's almost be chin on one casa, on prosecuting on baby on Fanyano. No, cause on your economist by a com dinner or tis a comedino. At that point, because of that, at the end now, decent mind realized, no, this guy really has a great conviction and he really stands for something. That even motivated people to go ahead with the June 4th revolt. Because of that, they made him a leader. Because of what he had already displayed. That is how leaders emerge in other harsh circumstances. And as a form, you don't keep quiet. You don't shut up. I bring a benefit and you free when impena or and quay mame. That is the evil we must speak against. Yeah, I know, said those of you watching, some of you might be members of Otabil Church and then as a forum. This is not personal, and I have no grudge against Obi or Sorry and as a for. I know that is not my business. Come here, me sorry, and that is not the issue. But the issue, say, we have a duty, we have a responsibility, even as a Christian, to lead a decent life. But these are people who take the altar, tell people, now no say on them or say, oh, Japadia, Fabra, sorry, no. On Casafa Common Yankao, on Casafabu and Nipa. If you now team no bit Tima Sabi, the obedi cry, why a dear man, man for Japadia Breno. And behind the scenes, these are what these guys are doing. They are just capitalizing on the crass ignorance and the sincere naivety of the people, because they know that the people are emotional, they are gullible, so they are exploiting people's gullibility, taking their wealth. Behind the scenes, these are the things they are doing. So mempesa mekasa awa enti nsem na Kevin Taylor bese ye be chire mu chire mo no. So those on social media platform will be say why Otabil and other people were not winning. The fact is they are equally guilty as Obiad because they were involved, they were complicit, and there is a suit in court, omujina court. Sabi Price Water Cooper say omo wie sika sika na ye de ba say omo mfanye bank ni sika no ya sesa de abobo ye ho bosia, and it's true. Ye de asore bobosia ono nkwane on de bosia na obo 2. Other members na obi afa 111 bosia na obo 2 ono ankasa the Otabil na associate agi sika no bi na all the ICGC as asore so kwaji bi se omo gina court hye omo nketei so omo fasa sika no mra hye omo to na mo de na nam ho. That is Ghana for you. So momo money na ho. Na sa anyama na shine na me nyame nipa no. You need to open your eyes properly. Because how na mane aye namu ene nyina sa nkrofo we ka ho bi na ye na namu. Memfa wo nkwa akire no, go back to the cathedral when it started. The arrogant posture some of them were taking okasa as say be oni Yesu na hye dem na wapiaba. Some of them behave as if say omo no de Mary by Yesu no course secondary school hwe no school money we they own it. They appropriate him and they can just speak and condemn people just like that with that arrogant way, no. Today, they are running away from the board like chickens, and none of them even have the dignity to say I'm sorry. These are shameful bunch of people who are embarrassing God, because of them. Amana yetu ewo ho see BBC cathedral na ka ho. Enti wote ho na we nipa man of conscience na wote na wo fie na wo go back to the past na wote ensema mo kan na nim guase we corrupt activities are na cause within the board and am so ema ebinu kra resign mo dwa na mo ntumi nka no be sin ne. That is how shameful governance and your friends saying asofo who are trying to pin themselves to politics for their personal parochial interest, you know. That is how the whole situation has become. Ghana for momo money now. Because these people are very dangerous. The muhu and then the omo kachira mono. That is not who they are. That is not who they are. They are very dangerous breed of people who are feasting on the flesh of people they deem gullible, people they deem ignorant, people they deem emotional, people they deem are frustrated, because people go to church with a whole lot of frustration stuff and so forth. So that is the right point for you to be exploited. All right, so nyame ya adoma yebesi ehia biem. Thank you very much for your time.